all for coming along. I was flattered beyond belief when Jan, oh, there she is. So, Jan Courtin, the author, and the Sydney Swans and the Go Foundation asked me to launch this book, My Lifelong Love Affair with the Swans. Now, for people like me that have been heavily involved in footy for most of their lives and then step out of it, you do suffer from a degree of limelight deprivation syndrome. So this is, I can't tell you how good it was to put a suit on and come over to the club. This really goes to the heart of, I guess, the relationship that Jan and I struck up. My first contact with Jan was during 1996 when she contacted me from Brisbane, where she was residing, to ask me that if we made the grand final, would it be possible for her to get some tickets. Now, I've never quite received a letter quite like it, because to reinforce her bona fides as a Swans diehard, she enclosed a photocopy of an article from the Herald, the then Melbourne afternoon paper, dated Friday the 4th of September 1970. The headline was, 12,000 miles she came to cheer the Swans. It appeared on page 3 of the paper and explained how London-based Jan had flown home to see the Swans play their first final in 25 years. Now, accompanying the article was a photo of a very sultry Jan. Think Marion Faithfull or Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and Papas, and I think the demographic here mainly, the ones in the front understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, she got the tickets. For those of you who want to see this article, go to page 47 of the book. Now, the byline indicated that the article was written by a young journalist called Philip Burford. 46 years on, and it's almost to the day. We're within a few days of this being the 46th anniversary of it. We located Phil, who lives here in Sydney, and his wife Maggie was heavily involved with one of our sponsors, and he's here today. Now, Jan, this is your moment, live. Phil Burford, stand up. Jan, well, where's the...
Well, I can't remember 46 years ago.
Jan said, I remember him as a spunk with shoulder-length hair, and he said, I remember as a Dolly Burts anyway. There have been many books written about the Swans, or where the club was a significant part of the narrative. From 1982, according to my calculations, would you believe that well over 30 have been published? Quite astonishing. And they cover a wide range of themes. They include various times on the club's history from 1974 up to the present day, the relocation of South Melbourne to Sydney's various significant events and defining moments, autobiographies and biographies of players. Have you done one, Jude? Oh, well, there'll be 31 before too long. And biographies of coaches, personal development advice, and believe it or not, 2 children's stories as well. All have provided unique insights from an extraordinary range of vantage points into the great institution that we know as the Sydney Swans. For those of you who subscribe to or read the Footy Almanac, Jan would now be quite well known to you because she is an active participant in that fantastic grassroots footy vehicle that John Harms promotes. This is her first book. It's a beautifully crafted document. As Loretta has said, my lifelong love affair with the Swans. But it doesn't fit into any of the genres that I've just spoken to. It is categorically, really, about inside the mind and the heart of the true believer. And a true believer, Jan certainly is. Her love affair with the club starts in Melbourne, takes us to London, to Brisbane, as we've discussed, and Sydney, and virtually every ground in the country at which the Swans have done their thing. It is punctuated by 3 recurring strands: family, friends and footballers. As I said earlier, in 1970 we travelled from halfway across the world with her to see her beloved club play in its first final in 2.5 decades, and we share the pain of losing by 9 goals to St Kilda in front of 105,000 people. We share with her the sense of expectation in 96 when her team finishes at the top of the ladder, and sense the disappointment when it is comprehensively beaten in the grand final. and we relive her sense of ecstasy when the breaking of the 72 drought occurs when the club wins the premiership in 2005, represented here today by Jude Bolton and Nick Davis. Well done, boys. It's interesting to note that Jan's great uncle Jim Caldwell missed playing in our 1909 premiership due to suspension and had to wait an agonising 9 years before he tasted premiership success as captain of the club in 1918. Exactly the same period of time that Jan had to wait between the loss of 96 and the victory of 05. True believers are essentially romantics, as are Pisceans, Jude, as you know. Jan lovingly paints pictures of players who she never saw but were eulogised by her family, to those who are etched in her memory as a little girl growing up in a red and white family, the players who she saw in the flesh or on TV, through to the players of today. True believers understand that it's all about players and the team. So this is not a book about football politics or the game as a business. That said, it doesn't sugarcoat the issues that matter. The most significant issue that Jan focuses on are in 14 passionate pages in chapter 15, basically about how shamefully the great Adam Goodes was treated during 2015. Compulsory reading for anyone who has an interest in that, which I think everyone should. True believers are eternal optimists who can always see the proverbial ray of sunshine in the middle of a hailstorm, even when their beloved team is relocated to a foreign environment or they are living on the other side of the globe. Their passion for the deeds of yesteryear is only exceeded by the dream of what lies in the future. Without the true believers, our club and the game as a whole would have little meaning. This is a book written by a true believer for all the other true believers. And I think that includes the true believers at the other 17 clubs, but also the true believers across the Australian football spectrum across the country. Without true believers, there is no national football competition, there are no massive media rights, there are no landmark stadia. True believers are the most enduring asset of each club and the game as a whole. Jan's book is a singularly welcome addition to the rich trove of Swans history and culture. Jan, you have done the Swans and the millions of true believers proud. I now have great pleasure in declaring this book, my lifelong love affair with the Swans, officially launched. Thank you.